Hello makers, and welcome back to Mixed Media Masters. It's really good to have you here. Now, as we've discussed the last few weeks, it is the holiday season, and as a result, it's the time of year for us to be a little handy sometimes and to create gifts that we can share with others and sometimes with ourselves. And art, of course, is a great gift, an opportunity to give of yourself and to share things that you enjoy with other people. And I want to share with you a very special project today that I really enjoy doing a lot. And what I'm working on here, you can see in front of me, is a very small canvas. So this is a canvas board. It is 4 inches by 4 inches in size, so it's not a very big piece of artwork. And one of the things I like about this size, it allows me to be creative in a way, doesn't take up a lot of time, right, to fill in 4 by 4 inches. But also to create content that I can share with other people, or, you know, it's the kind of thing that fits really nicely in a small space in your world, like a bathroom wall, something like that. I'm going to show you kind of a cool thing at the end, what we can do with this to display it. Now, to work with this, I'm going to create this project using tissue paper. Now, I have here, a lot of different colors of tissue paper here. I have a 4 inch by 4 inch canvas here. I don't need lots and lots of big pieces. But what I'm doing is I'm taking some scraps of different colored tissue papers here. I'll tear off a little bit of this purple here. What other kind of colors do we have in here? I've got a blue going here. And a little bit of blue, just tear off a little bit of that. And by the way, storing tissue paper is just one of the hardest things in the world once you start working with it, because it just gets so crumpled up. So you kind of just roll with it. You just kind of say this is what it's going to be and make that happen. Let's see what else I have in here. Anything super bright popping out in this collection? And again, it depends on what I'm trying to do. It doesn't have to be super bright. But this pink is kind of interesting and bright. All right, let's see what we can do with this. And I think I have a little bit of charcoal in here, which might tie things together. Now again, the palette you end up using is entirely up to you, but what I want to show you is the technique. The technique is kind of interesting here. So again, I've got some random pieces of tissue paper that I can put into motion here. And I, of course, want to be able to use it to decorate this. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is, let me take this blue, for example. I'm going to start just tearing it down into a kind of smaller pieces. I'm going to kind of create kind of just a small oval piece like that. Something like that. And let's say we put it into it's going to fit there into our artwork. Now, how do I get that to stick where I want to put it? Well, what I've created here is a concoction, not a very interesting concoction at that, but it's a concoction of white glue. So in this case, I'm using Elmer's Glue All, the extra strong formula, and basically about a teaspoon of that and maybe 2 teaspoons of water. So it's a very, very thin, gluey mixture here in this ramekin. And the beautiful thing about it now is if I come in here and I say, okay, if that's where I want this piece, I can come in here and I can get my brush wet with this glue and I can just start to adhere it down by just gently brushing on it. Okay, gently brushing it and getting it so that it sticks. Now, what I've also discovered in the past sometimes is that the interesting thing about this tissue paper, it depends on the quality of tissue paper that you have, but sometimes the colors can run. So oftentimes once I get something glued down, I may take a paper towel and dab at it just to pull up any additional moisture as well as any inks that might be running out of the tissue paper. In this case, the blue is actually in pretty good shape. So that's kind of nice. Now I've got this pink color here. So what I may do again is just kind of find a way to tear a strip off of this. And one of the nice things about working with the tissue papers, make that a little bit smaller. One of the nice things about working with the tissue papers is that when you lay them over one another, you get that kind of interaction. So if this purple, this blue piece, I should say, and this pink piece were to work together here, what's going to end up happening is they're going to create this overlap, and it's going to make a little bit of a purple right there. Whoops. And yeah, be gentle with this. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. And by the way, if you get a few wrinkles in here, it just adds to the texture, makes things look kind of interesting. There we go. Let's get that down there. And again, the nice thing about this collage is it glues really tight to the page, which is nice. And again, I may just come in here and blot it before any ink moves. There's a little bit of pink coming on my paper towel. I don't know if you can see that, but a little bit is happening there. And let's get some of this orange in here. This orange is kind of an interesting color as well. And again, I might be able to kind of just, place it over here on this side. So I'm making a bit of perhaps a box if you will. We'll have a little overlap down here with the orange and the pink. And one of the things to also keep in mind is oftentimes when you're working with colors, you want to usually start with your brightest colors in the background and overlay it with your lighter colors. Now this orange, by the way, I don't know if you can see it, but it is starting to bleed a little bit as I come in here. So again, I'm going to just carefully get this on here to pick up any of the glue. Yeah, quite a bit of bleed coming through there. And so you just want to make sure it doesn't get on the back of your canvas, because that will make things less pretty overall. I want to get some of this yellow in here, and so I think maybe I'm going to grab a bigger chunk. Now, one of the things about this light color going on front is if I were to come in here, I could actually lay this on top of the other pieces that I have, and when I glue it down, it's going to be almost transparent on things like the orange, okay? But anytime there's white behind it, we're going to get a really bright splotch of the yellow. And if I get this over the blue, it gets a little bit of green in there, right? Good blending of colors. And the pink. And again, it really kind of changes the dynamic because we have translucency down here. I'm going to just get this, kind of work with the wrinkles of this paper as well. Kind of get them smoothed out best I can. But it looks pretty good. Now once again, just an opportunity to kind of get a quick dab in there so we can pick up any leftover inks that might be dyes coming off of this. So it's kind of a cool piece. Again, the goal here is to create some sort of an abstract piece that will really work. Now I'm going to leave this gray piece here. I think this is going to be kind of my last bit. I'm going to create kind of a thinner strip. And again, this might be the kind of thing where I can come in here and just have something that really stands out from the background here and the other colors. And maybe I come in here and I lay it down like as a piece in there. Maybe I'm not going to make it so long. We'll just take it off of there. There we go. And we'll take it, pinch it off there. And again, these pieces are still wet underneath it, so I have to be gentle. But again, if I take my brush and just dab this down a little bit, now I'm overlaying this charcoal color on top of everything else, and it looks like a solid line of some sort. Kind of really works here. I have one more color I haven't used here, which is this purple. Maybe I'll do something similar to it and just create kind of more of a straight line. And what I do here, and maybe put it at a slight angle, just like that. And again, I'm going to kind of press it into the moisture underneath here, and maybe it will stick, but I'll get my brush in here. And just the tiniest bit of moisture on it, because the brush already has a certain amount of wet. And let's just get this piece on top. And you can see it kind of fades in the background. That purple piece is interesting because you can see it there, but it really kind of fades back like it's just an afterthought. All right? But I kind of like how this has turned out. And the nice thing about working with these, again, and I'll share the information in the description below as to where you can pick up these different pieces. And again, you get a box of these different canvases for not a lot of money. And we'll have something. Now, when we get back, I'm going to talk about a couple of other things we might do. I'm going to give this an opportunity to dry, and I'm going to talk about the next step of what I want to do with this particular piece. Okay, welcome back. Now, I've given this an opportunity to dry for a little bit. Now, one of the things I want to talk about with working with tissue paper is that tissue paper was not designed for high light areas. What I mean is that over time the tissue paper will fade. It was really designed mostly for, decorative work, not for permanent art. So my recommendation, if you're going to be doing anything like this, is that you do the best you can to seal it. Now, there are different ways we can do this. Mod Podge, as you're probably aware, makes a number of different types of formulations. This is a super gloss, so if you want something to be really shiny, this is a nice candidate. This is more of a matte finish, but the one I would recommend for something like this is Mod Podge Outdoor. And the reason for the outdoor is that it has additional UV protection. Now, is it fully UV protected and this will never fade? Not if you're putting it outside, but if it's going to be in an inside place and you hit it with this UV protection, it's going to make a big difference and hold these colors true to life for a much longer time than if you just left this lying around unprotected. So my encouragement would be put a layer or two of Mod Podge on here and it will pop the colors out a little bit nicely and it will make it work. Now, the last thing that I promised you was kind of a surprise on how we're going to display this, and I'll just share with you. These frames kind of came with some fun. They come with these little easels. So as we pull this together, let me do it like that. And we could say, all right, now that I've created my piece of artwork, I can display it, share it, and give this as a gift to my friends as well, and an opportunity for us to be able to have a little easel that we can put our displayed artwork on. How cool is that? Now again, I'll share with you in the description below where all the materials came from, so if you're interested in working on a project like this, you can pick this stuff up yourself. But I just wanted to share with you kind of a quick and easy way to create something that's fun using tissue paper, a little bit of school glue, which you probably have lying around the house, and again, working with these little palettes, if you will, these little canvases, as well as these easels, the whole thing's on. Kind of cool stuff. Anyway, hopefully it's a fun gift idea and something that you could really run with. That's all I have for you this week. Again, as always, if you like what we've done here, we do this every single week, coming up with new ideas on how to create artwork. This time we're exploring a little bit on how we use art as gifts for the holiday season, but of course we can create artwork all year round. So if this is what you like what we do here, feel free to hit that subscribe button, and we'll let you know when we drop a video every Friday. And we'd love you to be part of our growing family of subscribers. All right, that's all I have for you this week. Thanks again for being here. I'm Spider, and I'll see you next time.